Greetings Ventures, this is Lorne, your guild advisor, and welcome to my unit analysis for Part 2 of DanMemo's second anniversary event, Argonaut, The Fate of Hero. I will also go over the new Hestia that will be added as the first Danmachi Season 2 unit at the end. To commemorate the epic closing half of the Argonaut story, written by Danmachi author Fujino Omori, we'll have 4 more characters added into the game. They are divided into 2 banners, Argonaut and Orna in the Hero Awakening gacha, and Ariadne and Crozzo in the Heroic Lineage gacha. As of Part 2, these are time-limited banners with double rates for 4-star characters, and you get a guaranteed 4-star of a banner character on the 1st, 4th, 7th, and 10th 11 draw. Non-guaranteed 4-stars can be from the general pool of characters like in the first part. Let's start with 2 adventure units. The Dawn Argonaut, first of all, has very impressive art, dual-wielding what appears to be magic swords, though he is a physical attacking unit. Both his strength and agility stats are very high, over 1600 strength and 965 agility at level 80, and nearly 2000 strength and 1050 agility at max ascension. That agility puts him over other popular physical attackers like Devil Princess Eyes and Almina, making him attack first in most cases. His special arts is Dear Argonaut, an AoE Ultra Fire physical attack with a temporary strength boost, and also increases the AoE damage your opponents receive by 30% for 1 turn. This special art is extremely powerful and the perfect opener for when you want to deal a big burst of AoE damage due to the debuff on the attack. Note that because this debuff only lasts 1 turn, it only applies for the turn the move is used. If you're chaining multiple special arts, you'll definitely want to put Argo in the front of your party in most cases, so the special arts that happen after Argo's special arts take advantage of his debuff. Needless to say, this special arts is amazing in AoE combat situations. Argo's first combat skill is Hero Rising, an AoE fast, low fire physical attack that also boosts his strength and fire attack damage by 50% for 4 turns. This is very similar to the Fina we had in the previous banners for Part 1 in the event, as she had a similar attack except it was magic and wind element. In war games and pretty much all encounters, this is the move you want to use first, as it will make his next attacks very powerful. It being a fast attack also means it will go off in the beginning of the turn, unless your opponent is also using a fast attack and has higher agility. But since Argo has one of the highest agility stats in the game, he will likely go first. And going first in a game mode like War Games is extremely valuable, since you may defeat your opponent before they have a chance to attack back. To make Argo use this skill in War Games first, set him to buff. His second skill is Awakening Spirits, an AoE super fire physical attack with an ultra uncounter rate and also gives your allies a 25% HP regen buff that lasts 1 turn. Super base power attacks don't hit quite as hard as high base power ones attached with a temporary strength boost, but since Argo will be using his buff on the first turn, this attack will hit like a truck. Plus, your opponent is highly unlikely to counter this move, meaning less of a chance for them to deal back extra damage, or you avoiding some highly prominent counter abilities like the heal on Fina and Wintercream Lily. If hitting your opponent for a ton of damage wasn't enough, this move will also regenerate a quarter of your party's health at the end of the turn. Note that in war games, healing moves aren't as effective, but this is still substantial enough to make quite the difference. His final skill is Spiral Strike, a single target high fire physical attack with a temporary strength boost and also increases the duration of status debuffs on your opponent by 1 turn. This final skill is what makes Argonaut a potential unit to use in single target combat situations. He's able to double buff himself with his first move and have his third one deal a ton of single target damage, while at the same time extending the duration of debuffs that you put on your opponent. This can be incredibly useful as sometimes these debuffs are applied by weaker attacks than the ones you want to be using in a game mode like Record Buster, where more damage means more points. For example, Yuri's second move is a high earth physical attack that reduces earth resistance and guard rate by 40% for 4 turns. Using this move will apply incredible debuffs that will increase Yuri's damage output in battle, but after those 4 turns, he will need to reapply the debuffs and use a lower hitting move than his third skill, which is a super earth physical attack, much better than the high base power on the second skill. Argonaut's third skill extends the duration of these debuffs by 1 turn, allowing Yuri to use its higher hitting skill more often. So even though Argonaut is an amazing war game unit, he can still have a place in your single target encounter parties. Moving on to his notable abilities, his Will of Fire will cause his counters to also deal fire element damage, taking advantage of his first skill's buffs. And speaking of counters, his counters deal 50% extra damage. He also resists wind element damage by 35%, which will be useful in encounters against wind element users, bosses, or even wargame units such as the currently popular Fina. Finally, his Ox Slayer ability allows him to deal 100% more damage against Ox-type enemies. Get ready to destroy some Minotaurs. All in all, Argonaut is an amazing unit for wargames due to his double buff skill, which will also go first in most cases. The HP regen on his second skill can give you the hidden edge you need to survive an extra hit in wargames, and Argo is not too shabby of a single target unit since he can extend the duration of debuffs. Argonaut is a great all-around, and we are very fortunate that we'll be able to get a free copy of him just by completing part 2 of the event on Very Hard. Don't forget to equip him with his brand new character weapon, also launching with the event. The second adventurer on the banners is the Ancestry Croats, who has a pretty amazing sword and a possible fire spirit tease to go along with his hot art. Like Argonaut, he is a physical attacker with very high strength and agility. At max ascension, his strength increases to 1961, and his agility is over 1000. Unlike Argonaut, however, Croats' agility, though high, will be beat by a semi-leveled and ascended Elmina. His special arts is Fiery Protector, an AoE Ultra fire physical attack with a temporary strength boost, which also debuffs the physical and fire resistance of your enemies by 35% for one turn. Just wow! Croats is pretty much designed to work in tandem with Argonaut, since they are both fire element physical attackers, and the debuffs and Croats' special arts will benefit both tremendously. If you happen to have both Croats and Argonaut in the same party, and are chaining their special arts together, rather than have Argonaut in the front as I advised earlier, you'll want Croats in front of Argo, so Croats' special arts will go off first, allowing a double buffed Argonaut to use special arts and take advantage of the debuffs Croats just applied. Croats' first combat skill is Jolts, a fast AoE, low fire physical attack that decreases strength, magic, and agility of your opponents by 30% for 2 turns. As I mentioned in my previous video, this skill is simply amazing. Not only does it debuff both strength and magic, allowing you to decrease your opponent's damage no matter what type of attacks they're using, but it will also decrease their agility, allowing your units to most likely move before their own, giving you an amazing advantage in wargames. And not only that, this is a fast attack, meaning it will happen at the beginning of the turn. Of course, if other units are using fast attacks, such as the Almina I mentioned earlier, you'll have to beat their agility to move before them. However, as soon as your agility debuff hits, any units your enemy is using that don't have fast attacks will go after your units. The thing that amazes me about Croats is that something like this first skill is usually reserved for balanced characters who have lower attack stats, such as Roaring Gale Ryu, who debuffs both magic and strength. But Croats is a physical attacker, and therefore has very high strength values, making him not just a great debuffer, but also deal great damage as well. He pretty much replaces Lunar as well, as most players would Runner for a 20% agility debuff, but now Croats has an even higher debuff, plus built-in strength and magic debuffs as well as the skill being a fast attack. Insanity. His second skill is Pure Casting, an AoE super fire physical attack with an ultra unguard rate, and also decreases enemy physical and fire resistance by 25% for 2 turns. This is the move that Croats will be using after applying his very important debuffs. Ironically, this puts even more debuffs on the opponent, similar to his special arts. Again, these physical and fire resistance debuffs work hand in hand with the new Argonaut and of course, Croats himself. Plus, this move has a high unguard rate, meaning your opponent is less likely to guard this move, and you won't have to worry about your opponent having the damage of this move with the guard. And it's not only Argo and Croats that can take advantage of this move's debuffs, but any other units that are either physical attackers or fire element users. His final skill is Vortex of Flames, a single target high fire physical attack with a temporary strength boost and increases the duration of status buffs on your units by 1 turn. Like Argonaut, though Croats is clearly designed around AoE situations, his final skill allows him to be quite useful in single target encounters. There are many characters that have self-buffing skills, such as the new Argonaut himself, but again, they are weaker power attacks than their other moves. With Croats, you're able to extend the duration of those buffs, thus allowing Argonauts and other characters to use their harder hitting moves more often. Croatso is able to use two different combination attacks. The first one is Pound, an AoE non-element physical attack which activates during a special arts combo of 2 or more from Ascension unlock units who have the same combination attack being Pound. There are many different units that can use this as it is a standard combination attack. The second one is Ancient Bond, an AoE non-element physical attack that activates after a special arts combo of 2 or more from Ascension characters that have unlocked at least the 3rd Ascension. For Ancient Bond, Croatso can only use it with one of the 2 current Argonaut units, so you definitely want to pair these 2 together if you want to use a combination attack. Ancient Bond being far more powerful than a standard Pound. Moving to his notable abilities, Will of Fire causes his counterattacks to deal fire damage, similar to Argonaut. Strike causes his critical hits to deal 10% more damage. He has an innate 35% wind resistance, making him great against wind users, and Piercing Strike makes his penetrations deal 10% more damage. All in all, Croatso is an amazing unit in general. His first skill will be incredible in wargames due to the fast agility debuff, and his skill can also help in single target situations as magic and strength debuffs are always useful, decreasing the amount of damage your enemy can deal. His second skill's resistance debuffs synergizes perfectly with the new fire physical attacking Argonaut, but other popular physical attackers like Devil Princess Eyes and Almana can of course take advantage of the physical resistance debuff component as well. And of course, the increased buff duration on his last skill makes him a decent single target unit combined with his magic and strength debuff. Don't forget to craft and equip his new character weapon, launching with Part 2 of the Argonaut event. I'm very afraid to fight teams with Almana, Argonaut, and Croatso, as they all have fast attacks and synergize together very well between Almana's AoE attack resistance debuff, Croatso's physical and fire resistance debuffs, and Argonaut's insane power once he's able to buff his own strength and fire damage with his first skill. You definitely can't go wrong pulling for both Croatso and Argonaut, as they will work together amazingly, but also are individually great themselves. Moving on to the assist characters. Final Reminiscence Ariadne looks very cute, kneeling on a patch of grass while holding flowers, and seeing the 2 swords that Argonaut uses in the background is a very nice touch in the art. She has all-around stats, nothing too high and nothing too low, very similar to her previous units from Part 1 stat-wise, but with lower health but higher MP. Her assist skill is also extremely similar. Chain Rain Ariadne decreases enemy strength, while Final Reminiscence decreases enemy magic. Both of them decrease endurance and also nullify the first ailments that would affect your units, 2 at level 60 and 3 at +5. Both are very good in wargames, since there are a lot of units and teams that try to take advantage of ailments, such as the movie Belle's Stun, Mighty King Otaro's Taunt, or assists like Summer Goddess Hestia who can slow, or Pajama Goddess Hestia who can sleep. You just need to decide what is more valuable to you, decreasing strength or magic. Or, if you already have the first Ariadne at +5, it may not be worth it to use your resources to max the other one just for the magic debuff. I do recommend at least having one of the Ariadnes at a good limit break, as ailments will always be around, and the magic or strength debuff will help you take less damage, while the endurance debuff helps you deal more damage. The last assist of Argonaut Part 2 is, in the end, Orna. Most of her stats are rather mediocre, but the golden egg among them is her agility stat. At +5, it is 603, edging out Pure Bride Seer's 580, which many people run on a unit they want to go first in wargames because it's so high. If your opponent has a similar character to yours and they run Seer while you run an Orna of a similar limit break, you will likely go first. And that's going to be very important when it comes to whose Croatso goes first in wargames. Her assist skill is Misfortune Teller. At level 60, it reduces physical and magic resistance of enemies by 10% and also increases the equipped character's counter and guard rate by 20%. At +5, these values become a 15% physical and magic resistance reduction, and a 30% counter and guard rate buff to the equipped adventurer. Orna is an all-around very good assist, as she can be useful for both magic and physical oriented teams. There are assist units like Banquet Attire Hermes that sports a higher magic stat and a higher magic resistance reduction, and vice versa for strength and physical. But the perk of Orna is the incredible value she has for the equipped unit, giving them a huge agility boost, as well as a very high chance of countering attacks and guarding attacks. Finally, I'll go over a new unit that will launch After the airing of the first episode of DanMemo Season 2 this coming Friday, Azure Goddess Hestia. Our Season 2 new weekly unit additions start with this brand new Hestia, wearing attire from the first episode of Season 2. You'll be able to do a free 11 draw with a chance to get her, as well as roll on a regular banner with guaranteed chances of getting her on the 1st, 4th, and 10th draws. There will also be a paid banner that you can buy up to 3 times, which will guarantee this Hestia. As part of the Mega 10 campaign, players will receive a free copy of this Hestia when this banner launches after the airing of Episode 1. There's no news of whether or not we'll get free copies of the following 11 units for the following 11 episodes of Season 2, but be careful with your iris, since we will be getting 11 more units in the following 11 weeks. Back to Azure Goddess Hestia. She has rather average stats all around, except for agility, which, like Orna, is quite high, potentially making her a unit you'll want to equip to a character you want to go sooner in the turn order. Do note, however, that Hestia's agility at +5 is 1 point lower than the popular Purebride Seer, but it is faster than Sacred Fire Hestia, which many more people have. Her assist skill is Special Dress. At level 60, it increases fire, water, thunder, earth, wind, light, and dark resistance, and the guard rate of your allies by 10%. At +5, your elemental resistances and guard rate are increased by 15%. This Hestia is very defense oriented. If you find yourself in situations, such as very difficult quests, where you are taking too much damage despite having magic and strength debuffs, and/or physical and magic resistance, this Hestia might be the way to go, increasing your elemental resistances, as well as increasing your chance to guard attacks, decreasing damage to half. There are encounters like Record Buster Reveria, which will decrease one of your elemental resistances, and this Hestia could be what you need to lessen the damage and survive longer. And we might just want this Hestia, since we'll be getting a new Record Buster difficulty of level 6 at some point during the Mega 10 campaign for DanMemo. If you're worried about your damage intake, consider this Hestia. You'll have at least +1 Hestia if you only roll once on the banner, since you'll be getting at least 1 free copy. And that concludes my analysis on the characters from Part 2 of the Argonaut event, The Fate of Hero, as well as the first Season 2 unit. Remember that Argonaut and Orna will have a heroic trial launching with this event, and Croats and Ariadne are likely to have one the following week. I hope I was able to help you make a decision regarding these banners, and I also wish you luck on your polls and hope you enjoy Part 2 of this amazing event. We do have a rather generous login campaign that will give us 1000 iris combined, but do be wary of spending it all while we're consistently getting new characters. Season 2 starts this Friday, and I can't wait to see the adaptation of 2 of my favorite novels in the series. I'll be doing weekly episode reviews while also making some comparisons to the light novels, so be on the lookout for those videos if that interests you. Also soon, I'll be releasing a video for those of you who have only seen the anime and haven't touched the light novels, as there are some things skipped over from the adaptation which I think will be important so you don't get lost in Season 2. That video should be coming out very soon as well. Like this video and subscribe for more DanMemo content, follow me on Twitter and join my Discord to stay updated, and as always, continue enjoying your time adventuring in Rario and the dungeon. This is Lorne, your guild advisor, signing out.